Hello, everyone. I'm Bolt Dad. Today, we're going to talk about the Chargers' win-loss record. How are we going to do this season? Let's get it.
You're streaming the Bolt Dad podcast with your host, Bolt Dad.
Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe for more content like this.
Bolt up, baby.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Before we get started here, I did want to say thank you so much to all the fans giving me lots of feedback. Because of your feedback, I got a whole new setup for my mic, camera, everything. We are slowly but surely improving the quality, production quality, everything with this channel. So again, thank you so much. It means the world to me. We're going to go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to be honest with you, full disclosure. It is very difficult to be objective looking at this season with this off season that we've had. It's been something special. So we're going to get into this, but keep in mind that when I attempt to look at it objectively, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to say, okay, let's look at Chargers history, what they've been like. Let's try to erase that from our memory in some ways and say this is a new season, new Chargers. But, when I started going through each game one by one, there were a few things that kind of creeped up in my head. I thought, you know what, I could see this happening in this particular game, in this situation, and how that might motivate the team going forward. So that's a little bit of my logic. If you see it and you're like, that is way out of left field, I don't agree with that, or I disagree with that, or I completely agree with it, please leave a comment on your opinions for your win-loss predictions. I'm really anxious to see what everybody has to say. So that being said, let's dive into it. All right, so we have a 17-game season, and the football gods have chose to start off the very first game of the season with us against the Raiders. So this is a revenge game. No other way to look at it. We are going to win this game, so we are starting off with a W. It's going to be a clear victory in my mind. I feel like we have had a bitter taste in our mouth ever since last season, and there's simply no other way to look at it. I think everybody on our team, of course, coming out of the offseason into the first game, we are going to be hungry, we're going to be healthy, motivated, driven, and we're gonna be rocking the place. So very, very excited for our first win against the Raiders. More explanation as we go into my thoughts on wins and losses going forward, but you're going to notice there's a theme with this season, and that is revenge. Okay, so we're going to dive into the next game, and that is going into a short week off our win against the Raiders. This is going to be prime time against Kansas City in Kansas City. How are we going to do? Well, my prediction is we're going to win. So let's be honest. People tend to forget that last season, that even though Kansas City got into the playoffs, they actually started off pretty slow. I predict that's going to happen again. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. They don't have Tyreek Hill to really bail them out when they have any kind of issues. So I think that we're going to see a duplication of that. Of course, Kansas City's been a staple of consistency the last few years, but let's be honest, their defense was atrocious in the beginning of last season. They did, quite frankly, a miracle 180 towards the second half of the season, but the first half of the season was atrocious. I think this is going to be a solid win for us. It's going to be a big boost. We're going to be going in hot coming after that win against the Raiders. 2 division games, big time. So that's a win. All right, now that leads us into the big first loss that I am predicting, and that's against, believe it or not, the Jaguars. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have a let's just say they've been having a difficult go at it, to say the least. The Jaguars have had an atrocious last season. They're essentially the laughingstock of the NFL. I think they've made some changes. I think they're attempting to really kind of come back to relevancy. My opinion is that this is going to be kind of like an early trap game for us. I know trap games are typically, after you've really established whether you're a good team and it's later in the season, but I feel like this is going to be kind of a trap game. Feel like it's going to be more us losing than them winning. It's going to be something like an interception or fumble. Throughout this, by the way, I got some wood here. I'm going to knock on the wood as I say these things. But I just got this general vibe like it's going to be one of those things kind of similar to the Texans last year, where we just we think we're such a great team, and then boom, something surprising happens, and we might miss that. But there's a reason why I have that logic. So don't get at me screaming at me in the comment section just yet. I know, lost to the Jaguars week 3. That's crazy. Okay, but we're going to go move on. The next game we're going to talk about is the Houston Texans. We're going to go into it motivated off that loss that we just had, and we are going to annihilate them. It's going to be a big victory for us. I'm thoroughly excited about how we're going to approach it. I feel like the loss that we have had against the Jaguars is going to reinvigorate us, get us pumped up, excited. And just knowing the national media coming off that loss to the Jaguars, they're going to discount us. They're going to say, oh, they might be the same old Chargers again, that sort of thing. And we're just going to have that almost underdog mentality, but we're also going to remember what it was like last season and how we let that one go. And it's going to be a huge motivating factor for us. We're going to go out. We're going to crush it. It's going to be a dominating win against the Houston Texans. The next game is another road game. This time it's in Cleveland. I feel like with this one, it's going to be a great game to watch. Last season, last time we played against Cleveland, it was a head-to-head. It was like both teams put like 40-plus points. It was a crazy game. I don't think it's going to be that kind of game, but I think we are going to comfortably win this one. Again, the reason why I mentioned that Jaguars loss is something about our Chargers. When the backs are against the wall, they respond. And so I'm hoping and thinking I'm hoping that we win all of them. But my thought process is if we lose to have one of those early games where we shoulda, coulda, woulda, that this season, it's going to really, really motivate us, and then you're gonna see the results as my predictions go on throughout this season. So against Cleveland, I think that's going to be a very strong win. Then we come back home. We're going to be playing against the Denver Broncos. This time we're going to be playing against Russell Wilson, but you know what? Guess what? We've had great success against Russell Wilson. He has simply had not been able to overcome playing against the Chargers. He's one of two, the Chargers and Seattle, he's never won against, which is a big statement. And we're going to continue that. It's going to be a great game to watch as well. I predict that the Broncos are going to have probably a pretty good season, but I'm willing to bet it's more of like an up and down kind of season. I assume that Russell Wilson's going to figure it out eventually, but this is not his year. I think there's just too much to overcome with coaching and regime changes, that sort of thing. And with him aboard, it'll help the professionalism that he brings, but he's just not going to be able to overcome what Justin Herbert's bringing to the table. It's going to be a dominating win in my mind. Well, it'll be close, but numbers-wise, I think it's going to be, one of those things where it's like, oh, that was a clear victory. They end up winning. All right, the next game, we actually followed up with Drew Lock in Seattle. Isn't this a crazy season we're going to have? So I think Drew Lock, he's won against us as a Denver Bronco, but he's just not going to be able to pull that off when he's up in Seattle. I think the Chargers are going to go in there. We play well in Seattle, like I had just mentioned, and that was with a huge upgrade at quarterback. Now that they don't have Russell Wilson and they have Drew Lock, I mean, Seattle fans seem to love Drew Lock. They seem to be responding well to his kind of attitude and temperament, but it's just not going to work. At least not when they're playing against us. We're going to go in and we're going to have a fantastic win against Seattle. At this point, guys, this is only one loss versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're talking. Despite that Jaguars loss, I'm predicting going into the bye week we're 6-1. That is fantastic. I think that is the kind of season we're expecting. Okay, so then we go into our bye week. Rest any players that need resting. Again, knock on wood, nobody gets injured, but we're just doing healing from typical football wounds, and we're ready to get back at it. And where do we end up? Well, we're going back to the East Coast. This time we're playing against Marcus Mariota and Atlanta Falcons. Hey, look, I actually like Marcus Mariota. I've always kind of been in his corner. When he came out and played against us, us when he was with the Raiders, he had a surprisingly good game, and that won him a starting job with Atlanta. I think he's actually going to have he's going to surprise a few folks. I think they're going to have some surprising wins, but not against us. We are going to win. It's going to be a close game, I'm predicting, but he's going to want to beat Herbert, that kind of that Oregon Duck thing, but he's not coming close. We're going to win that one. All right, the next one is on the road again, but this time we're going back to the West Coast. We're playing in Northern California against San Francisco 49ers. I personally am going to be attending this game, so if anybody is going to that game, shout out. Can't wait to hopefully see you there when I'm there. But we are going to definitely win that game. You know what? This is going to be an exciting one because it's the Bosa Bowl, right? I am hoping that both players are healthy. Nick and Joey are going to be healthy for this game. I know the media is going to really hype it up. I have a feeling, though, this isn't going to be a very high-scoring game. I have a feeling that it's going to be, one of those games where the defenses dominate, and I can't wait to see the amount of sacks that Joey Bosa racks up. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to set the national narrative of which Bosa brother is the better one. And I think Josa in combination with Khalil Mack are really, by this point in the season, coming off recently off of a bye week a couple weeks back. They're going to be fresh. Oh, it's going to be something special. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback playing for the 49ers. Good luck. All right, so the next one is versus Kansas City. This time, Kansas City, they're coming to SoFi Stadium, and we are going to win this one. That's right, folks. We are going to sweep Kansas City. We've been playing well against Kansas City. We've had a lot of overtime games now against Kansas City with Justin Herbert at the helm, but we haven't swept them yet. This is going to be the big one. This is going to be the season-defining, media, national narrative changing, these aren't the same old Chargers kind of win. It's going to be an amazing game to watch. Very excited about it. And I think this is really going to be where Justin Herbert's MVP campaign narrative is going to really start to take off, right? When you're like, oh my gosh, look at this record. They were 6-1 going into the bye week. They just had their third win coming out of the bye week. That means they're 9-1. Are you kidding me? So people will be chanting MVP at this point for, the Chargers fans will be chanting it all season, but I think MVP is going to be, you can just read it all over ESPN and NFL Network. They're going to be talking about the Chargers and Justin Herbert being MVP candidate. And then, again, folks, I had to be somewhat objective and try to factor in history with the Chargers. We're going to then follow up with the next game against the Cardinals in Arizona, at Arizona, and I'm going to call this one a loss. So here's what I mean by kind of factoring a little bit of the history of Charger history, right? I think this is going to be one of those classic charging things where I think we're going to be so hyped up after a huge emotional win and so excited about it that I think it's just almost inevitable. This is going to be one of those trap games. Even if the Cardinals play well this season, given all the drama that Kyler Murray has had over the offseason, even if they play well, I think we're just going to view this as a little bit of a trap game, and I think it's going to get to us. Again, Chargers fans, when I say these things, I'm not hoping on it. I'm not wishing on it. I'm knocking on wood 24/7 when I say these things, but I'm also attempting to be somewhat objective in factoring in possibilities. So that's my thought process. That I think that Arizona is gonna, we're gonna lose to them in this scenario, but just based off of our mistakes, and I think it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow, but. Just like before, I think it's really going to help us, again, getting into later in the season. So, now, where does that take us? Well, that takes us to a road game against Las Vegas Raiders. Okay. This time, I feel like Derek Carr is going to have a good season. I do. I feel like Derek Carr is going to, he's going to, really, the people who are in his corner are going to feel vindicated that he's going to have a good season. And he's got great wide receivers now. But here's the thing. What I'm really curious about is their head coach. Huge question marks there. And I'm really curious about their defense. Yeah, okay, Max Crosby, phenomenal pass rushing. They're going to have a great pass rushing core, no question. But similar to how the Chargers did it last season, where it was great offense, but Herbert couldn't, for the life of him, get that 30th ranked defense into the playoffs. He couldn't drag them into the playoffs. I think Derek Carr, it's going to be the same situation. I think in classic Raider fashion, I think they might have a good offense, but they're just going to forget all about their defense. I think they're focused on some splashy offseason picks to keep up with the AFC West, and I just don't think the acquisitions they made in defense is going to be enough. I think they're going to have a poor defense, and it's going to bite them in the rear. And so I'm predicting that we are definitely going to sweep the Raiders. That's right, we're sweeping the Raiders, and we're sweeping the Chiefs. That's my prediction for this season. All right, so huge win. Then we go back home to SoFi, and this time we're playing who against who? Oh, what's that? Miami? Oh, who's the quarterback for Tua. Oh, you know what? There's been a lot of jokes against Tua this past offseason, and I think rightfully so. The social media team for the Dolphins have not been helping. I mean, that one throw where Tua he's putting it all into that throw. It looks like it's going to be this big bomb to Tyreek Hill for a big play, and the pans to Tyreek Hill's just standing there waiting for it. I mean, that was a difficult pill to swallow, I think, for the social media team. They're like, oh, we shouldn't have posted that one, because they were all hyped when they sent that out. And I think rightfully so that there's going to be some struggles. I mean, they got 2 Lamborghinis ready to go in their garage, and they just don't have the engine to get it to them. I do think it's going to be a tough game, though, because, Tyreek Hill has a lot of info on the Chargers. I think he's going to bring a lot of insight. And also, their defense has just was difficult last time Herbert played against them. But here's the thing. Keeping to the theme of revenge, Herbert won't say it from the national media because that's just the way he is. But I think deep down inside, him and the players behind him are going to kind of put a nail in the coffin of the argument of, if there is any argument left, that Tua is anywhere close to the realm of Herbert. I don't really think that argument really exists anymore, but if it did, this is putting a nail in the coffin in it, and it's going to be part of a team effort. I think Herbert's going to come out and just going to have a great game, and I think it'll be a difficult game. But Herbert has learned a lot about that defense, that style of defense that he wasn't used to when he played them. So very excited for that win. Okay. Then we're going to get into Tennessee. So this will be another SoFi Stadium game. I think a lot of fans will come to attendance and rep this one. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a good season, honestly. And I think even though we will have, by this point, have proved that we have improved drastically our run defense, I just think for whatever reason, he's going to have a great game, and it's going to be difficult for us to win against them. And teams with great running backs tend to do really well towards the end of the season, and I just think that's what's going to happen. So I am predicting a loss, but it's mostly due to Derrick Henry just going off, having a great game, and it might be a shootout, but they might win the clock management battle, and we lose it by squeaky thin margin. All right, then that takes us to Indianapolis, the Colts. Frank Wright, I think he's a good, solid head coach for them. He brings consistency. Unfortunately, they don't have a quarterback who's consistent throughout several seasons, So I'm really, really curious to see what Matt Ryan brings to the table. I think he's gonna have and find success with the Colts, but I don't think it's gonna be that year. It's just not their year. It's our year. This is our year. This is going to be, I'm predicting this is going to be the game that gets us into the playoffs, solidifies that we're in the playoffs. Hopefully that we're at that point already. But again, this AFC West, so a lot of teams in the AFC, even not just the West, are good. So I think it's going to take till later in the season to really lock that down. And so I'm thinking that this is the game that solidifies we're going to win the AFC West. The next game is in SoFi Stadium. Technically, I talked to a Rams fan earlier. It's like, oh, technically this is your home game. Like, what do you mean technically? No, this is our home game. Come on. So this is a home game, and we are playing against the Rams. I would love if we had this game earlier in the season, because I think by this time, both teams will have already established that they're in the playoffs. But it's going to mean more to us because this is the game that we are going to clinch the first seed to earn that bye week. That's the reason why I am saying that's going to put us the emotional edge for us over. Guess what, folks? We're talking about 13 wins already. With the bye week, locked in first seed. That's my prediction. Now, the last game of the season is against Denver. I am predicting a loss. Simple reason. We are resting our starters. That's it. We're resting our starters. Now, if knowing how we tend to approach things, it's possible we go out blazing saddles and we're just like, hey, we're going to win it no matter what, and we'll have our starters in there. But I feel like Russell Wilson, I think their season will be lost by then, but they're going to be, knowing Russell Wilson, he'll still fight for every play and want to win, and I think they're gonna beat us, but it's only because Justin Herbert and everybody else is resting. So that puts us at, again, 13 wins, and count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. So again, I'm predicting a couple surprise losses in there against Jacksonville early in the season, against Arizona as we get 3 weeks past our bye week, then against Tennessee, which I think is a reasonable thing to think, and then Denver, and again only against Denver the last game of the season, because we're resting our players. So that's my prediction for this season. Again, let me know what you think about in the comment section, whether you think I am way off base, if you think we should be 17-0, or you think, hey, you know what, maybe that's about accurate, or you know what, I think you're crazy that you have us losing to the Jaguars. I wouldn't blame you if you said that, but again, I tried my best to be objective and thinking about this as a long-term Chargers fan. all my life, and I think if we can pull this off, a 13-4 season and first round locked in seed, and that's going to help us crush it this season, the postseason, and get us that Super Bowl that we want. I think 13-4 is going to be enough to do it. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate anybody who's been listening to me. Hopefully you like this video. If so, please like and subscribe. And bolt up and bolt out. I'm Bolt Dad. Thanks for listening.